People don't really take into consideration how much some of us need our medications so that we can deal with our day-to-day lives. I'm one of those people who shouldn't go without them. Today, that's exactly what happened. Now, before you freak out, understand this. Logically, I know that I'm not normal. However, in situations like this where I go without my medication, I can't control what I feel and think. I know no matter how much I may or may not want to, I just want to clarify that, so you understand that I couldn't control what happened. When the pharmacist told me that they couldn't give me my prescription for my antipsychotic medication, I understood why logistically. There had been an issue with the insurance process, and all I had to do was get in touch with my doctor to fix it. Simple, right? That didn't stop the panic I felt when I left the store and got into my car, though. This had been my first errand of the day, and unfortunately for me and everyone else around me, I had the rest of the day, at the very least, to look forward to without my medication. I'd taken the last dose the night before when I went to bed, and now I was completely out. My shaking hands turned the car on, and I left the strip mall parking lot, heading off to work like everyone else. All I had to do was keep it together until I could get in touch with my doctor. Everything would be okay, right? I was fucking stupid, is what I was. In hindsight, I should have called in sick to work, but I didn't. As with everybody else below the poverty line, if you don't work, you can't eat. In my case, I was more concerned with possibly losing my insurance than I was with being able to pay rent, and I needed my medication. I'll spare you all but the relative details because I don't have much time. I work in a call center for a major internet service provider. More specifically, I'm one of the faceless drones you might talk to if your router has gone tits up and you need a replacement. It was one of those jobs that starts you off as close to minimum wage as it can and then keeps you there as long as it can. About the only thing good about it, or was rather, the benefits package. The insurance company completely covered my psychiatric needs and my medication up until today, that is. Toward the end of my shift, I had a really bad call, and I mean a really bad one. If you've ever worked in customer service, you can imagine what I'm talking about. And if you're lucky enough to never work in customer service at all, go fuck yourself with a rusty iron bar. They took everything that I had, every single last nerve, not to tell the stupid cow on the other end of the line to shove her modem up her cunt, and I needed to keep my cool at this job. She'd been pissed off because someone in her family was downloading homosexual pornography. She expected us to purge it from her system and, you can get this, put a blocker on her internet connection for that sort of thing. Apparently, the thought that I could actually look at the internet browser and find her history on her account slipped her mind. Because when I told her that the porn she was looking at was of girl-on-girl and BDSM, she lost her shit royally. I think she called me every name in the book, but in the mood that I was in, all I could think about doing was cutting her womb out so she couldn't fucking breed. The urge to do that had become so great that I could barely think. Before I was able to get her transferred to hold. If I didn't figure out something, I was going to lose my shit in public again and probably end up back in the hospital. You ever hear the phrase, seeing red? Well, as you can probably guess, you don't actually see red. It's more like an itch or tension that makes your entire body burn. The same is true for those like myself, whom tend to fly into psychotic rages if we weren't medicated properly and consistently. At that moment, I was at critical mass with that feeling. I was trying to pull myself together enough to ask my coworker of mine to clock me out on time when I ducked out earlier. When I experienced the straw that broke the camel's back. Normally I would have been able to handle these events, but again, I didn't have my medication. I know she meant well. Most of them do. You know the kind that I'm talking about, don't you? The office cow. Every single office in existence has at least one of them. An older, lonely, overweight and very desperate woman who just needs to badly sit on a dick. I barely even remembered what she was talking about, but I think it was something about her cats. But from that moment until the end of the day, things were just hazy. I think she just talked to me because I was the other outcast in the office. Today, however, was the wrong day to talk to me, though. My nerves were so gone, I just wanted to shut her up. I didn't even mean what had happened to happen. The ballpoint pen was just there on my desk, so I grabbed it, and with no thought, and surprisingly little effort, likely due to the rush of adrenaline that came across in the rage that I felt, I jammed the pen as deeply as I could into her eye. I let go of it, and she fell back against the cubicle. Her scream honestly sounded better to me than when she was talking. Soothing somehow. That was a new sensation, I'll tell you that. After a few seconds, though, I was able to get thoroughly acquainted with it. And when my coworkers saw what I'd done to her, they began screaming and running away. Now, in retrospect, I may have overreacted a bit. I only meant to hurt her, but I think I hit brain because when she looked down, the blood was spurting from her eye, and she was convulsing like a dying fish does when it drowns in the air. I had a goldfish once that I took out of the bowl and watched it flop around until it stopped moving. So I was mostly reminded of that. Eventually, she stopped moving, though, and I found myself alone. That was when I sort of came out of it, I suppose, to realize what I had done. There was so much blood. On me, on the floor, on her, and on the 2 cubicles on either side of the small hall between them. I wouldn't be lying if I said I didn't feel better. I fucking felt amazing. My day instantly improved. Finally, after relieving in the release of the moment, I sat back down at my computer, saved my work, and logged out of the system. Then I got the things together I wanted to keep and shoved them into my backpack before getting up and walking towards the elevator to go downstairs to the building's parking garage. I scanned my ID on the reader by the elevator and it denied me access. It occurred to me that the building was most likely in a lockdown after what I did, so I decided just to take the stairs. The access door by the elevators didn't require a key card to get through them from the inside, so I was just able to walk down 10 flights of stairs to the garage below the building. I remember having a spring in my step as I took the time strolling down the stairs. Making it to the bottom, I pushed open the door and made my way into the garage. My car was close by, and by the time I made it there and fumbled with my keys to open the driver's door, I was winded and out of breath. My therapist was right. I really should start exercising more. I guess now I'll have all the time in the world to exercise and work out as much as I want. Anyway, did you know that blood dries really quickly? It becomes tacky within only a couple of moments. I got the shit all over my keys, and now it's all over the door and my steering wheel too. That'll be a nightmare to clean off, and thankfully, I won't be doing the cleaning this time. Speaking of which, remember what I said about not having much time? Before writing this on my tablet, I called the police to let them know what I'd done, where I would be, and that I was unarmed, and I'd be willing to give myself up if they arrived. I really don't see any reason why I shouldn't be polite to the guys and gals in blue. They do a really hard job, and they don't get appreciated as much as they should for it. Besides that, I really do feel better. There's no reason for me to be a dick and make their collective days worse, am I right? I hear the sirens now, and they're getting louder. They just entered the parking garage, I think. I'm going to wrap this up and post it before they find me, so that it's out there. Thank you for all your support, guys. I really do appreciate it, and I'm going to miss you all very much. I apologize if this has made anyone afraid or disgusted by me, as I never meant for that to happen. I just had a bad day and really needed to rant about it. The police cars have surrounded me now, and their lights are bright, so I can barely see, and they're shouting at me too. I'm going to go, but before I do, just let me say thank you again for everyone and their support. Bye.